Hello, it is Foon from hustlecastle.site. It is January, for 3 more days, 2023, and the donkey traveling merchant has just come to our castle gates. In this video, I'm going to talk about the donkey, look at all the new unique items, and then buy some. I'll put chapter links in the description if you want to skip to a particular part of the video. The nearly universal advice when it comes to spending money on the donkey is simple. Don't do it. Now, of course, I don't mean the stuff you buy for iron or mana. That's great. Go get those purple gems and whatnot. Actually, we can spend a minute looking at the inventory at some point in this video. But when I'm talking about quote unquote the donkey, we're typically talking about the chest here at the top. If you're missing a bunch of these items, it will be hundreds of dollars worth of diamonds to get the item you want. No single item in the game is worth that. If we're talking about event gear, just wait for it to come to the dragon. Normally, the donkey, meaning this top chest sold by the donkey here, has all the unique items from a long past event and one new unique artifact. And if you have everything else, meaning you played that event when it happened, then the one artifact can be tempting. That's probably going to come in 8 to 12 chests if you're not missing any other unique items. Now, go rewind and listen to that again if you don't think you understood that. Don't at me if you were actually missing 2 of the items and then you don't get the new artifact after 20 chests. Yes, that is how it works. That is how I'm saying it works. Don't do exactly what I say not to do and then yell at me that you feel ripped off. I don't work for Hustle Castle. Same reply I give to everyone who tells me they're locked out of their account. I don't work for Hustle Castle. I'm just a player. I know the donkey's a ripoff. I agree. Don't waste your money on it. Okay, but we're making content. The donkey is a terrible deal. I'm not telling anyone to give the donkey your diamonds. You will almost certainly regret it. But if you're going to do it anyway, I'm here to give you all the info that I can. All right, moving on. Hopefully that's enough of a disclaimer. So this donkey is a little different. For one, the top chest is different. It, of course, has the one new unique January 2023 donkey artifact, but the rest of the chest, rather than an old event, it has a bunch of unique artifacts in it. I think these are mostly, if not all, for sale in the Dragon Shop already. The ones I'm missing, I think, are past donkey artifacts rather than event artifacts, and none of them I particularly want. Now, how many am I missing? You have to look closely in the chest itself to be sure you're not missing more than you think. Okay, I'm missing 3 plus the new one. So if we say 10 chests on average per unique item, then I need to be ready to buy 40 chests to get this new arty. 710 diamonds per chest times 40 chests is going to be 28,400 diamonds. And scrolling down for the donkey's own price for diamonds, that's almost $150. I could get lucky and get the one new one, the only one I want, much sooner, but I shouldn't expect to get lucky. Absolutely no artifact in this game is worth $150. Unless this thing says if your name is Foon, you just automatically win every fight, it is not going to be worth it for me. But let's just see what it does. The Shield of Ymir, Frost Armor. Actually, not to go off on a weird tangent, but all artifacts have 2 names. The top name is actually the skin name, and the second smaller name is the ability name. In unique artifacts, both of these names are going to be unique, so it doesn't really matter. It's not that confusing except for the fact that it has 2 names when you're talking about them. But in arena artifacts, especially the old ones, I don't think this is actually true for the newer ones, the skin name, so something like Celestial Key, has no correlation at all to the ability name, something like Dusty Artifacts or Magical Mischief. Celestial Key could be either of those abilities. And when it has to be unique, it has to be unique the ability, not the name. I can have 4 different Celestial Key artifacts in my squad, even if they're all individually unique. More info like that on hustlecastle.site. Anyway, that was a weird tangent. So Frost Armor. The unit is surrounded by an ice shield for 7 seconds. When a unit attacks the unit with the ice shield, they have their attack speed reduced by 20%, up to 3 effects. Cooldown time of their weapon abilities and artifact abilities is increased by 1 second. Once in a while, when the unit with the ice shield receives 5 attacks, they deal 150,000 magic damage to a random enemy and scare them for 2 seconds. So I guess this is kind of relief because that doesn't sound so good at all. A mix of several little effects. Not like a bad or useless artifact, but I definitely don't think that sounds like it's worth $150. The stacking slowdown is certainly interesting, but the slowdown goes on the enemy who targets the artifact wearer. So where would I put this? A mage doesn't take that much damage, hopefully, so it would be wasted there. My VIP Dragonborn, I have ghostly aids on her, and I want to keep that there. And also my front line, that's where this would get triggered the most. Those guys take the most damage. But I have artifacts there meant to kind of revive my squad to take advantage of their survivability already. So I don't know where I would put this if you just gave it to me. There have been a lot of overpowered artifacts in the game recently, and it's hard to make room for them. And this one doesn't make sense on a mage, so it's even harder to think how I'd make room for it in my team. Okay, so that's the top chest. TLDR, don't buy. Now, another disclaimer, I could be wrong, and this thing turns out to combo something someday and be great. But we've seen twice now special offers for $25 US to buy old donkey artifacts. So, even if you miss out on a good one, you can get it later. I didn't buy the condom arty, the preventative measures, when the donkey had it, and for a while I was a little bummed and wished I had it. But then I bought it for $25, and I have no regrets that I didn't spend, double or more that to have it a few months sooner. Okay, let's move on to these new chests. Now these are new. They are only 220 diamonds and have 5 unique items each. Actually, wait, are these totems even unique? They look kind of like normal ones, but normally I think totems are just cat, eagle, and lion. Yeah, all cat, eagle, and lion. Actually, it'd be more thorough to check the abilities rather than the names. I have a list of abilities on hustlecastle.site. I'm just gonna pause and do that real quick. Okay, yeah, they do all look unique. They just have names that don't stand out as sounding like unique totems. Okay, sorry, let's get back on track. So there's 3 new chests for 220 diamonds, each with 5 unique items. Now, not to repeat myself, but more items is not a good thing. If you really want one of the items in one of these chests, you have no guarantee that that item will drop first. I'm making this video the day the donkeys showed up, so if you want to be conservative, you can wait to hear what others experience and even what they think of the items. Maybe there will be a consistent drop order, but there normally is not for the big donkey chest, so I'm guessing there will not be for these either. But you only have 3 days to decide. That was one nice thing about the Diamond Cashback event. The chests were there all month, so you could wait until the very end of the month to wait and decide what, if anything, you wanted to go for. So I'm going to read off these 15 new unique item descriptions and give you my 2 cents initial opinion about it. As always, descriptions only get you halfway there. How quote-unquote good an item is has a lot to do with cooldown and just how it works in real battle. But anyway, let's do it. First, this red chest. The Trickster Ring is number 1. Once in a while, the unit's damage is increased by 60% for 4 seconds. Also, all critical attacks of the unit begin to restore their health equal to the amount of damage dealt during this time. Now, that does sound nice. It's using crit. Crit only makes sense on Dragonborn or Legionnaire in most squad setups. And there's already good rings for both of those, but I admit I wouldn't mind having this guy. The Giant's Strength Amulet. Once in a while, the unit's magic armor is increased by 50% of their physical armor for 5 seconds. It's interesting. I can imagine some combos with other gear that increase armor, maybe stacking nice, but I could live without this. The Totem. Once in a while, the unit gains a shield that absorbs 200,000 damage for 5 seconds. While the shield is active, the unit restores 50,000 health every second. All right, that sounds pretty good if it activates. The Mage Armor. All right, well, that looks cool. That's a weird name, the Mage and Wizard Outfit. Sounds like a dev put that in as a placeholder and no one remembered to fix it. Anyway, once in a while, the unit's spell power is increased by 50% for 5 seconds. Also, the unit gains a shield that absorbs damage equal to 200% of the unit's spell power. The shield lasts for 5 seconds. Okay, that is just made for a Dino Wand Incinerator. I would absolutely love to use that if I had it, at least to test out for a while. And finally, a Mace. The Last Argument Mace. It's a kind of cool name for a mace. When attacking, has a 30-33% chance of stunning the enemy for 2.5 seconds, standard. All stunned enemies take damage equal to 2% of their max health every second they are stunned. That sounds skippable to me. All right, let's move on to the green chest. First up, the Passion for Knowledge Ring. Once in a while, the opponent with the highest max health takes damage equal to 3% of their max health each second for 5 seconds. This damage is also dealt to all enemies in a small radius around the target. When the ability ends, the target is stunned for 2 seconds. This would probably target your opponent's Dragonborn, so that's good. But I don't think that's going to be a game changer. I could be wrong if it has like really good cooldown, but I think most squads can brush off 3% damage. Next, Way of the Trickster Amulet. The unit's dodge is doubled. I don't care about that too much. My opponent is probably using Skirmisher anyway. When the unit receives a negative effect, they have a 65% chance to remove a random negative effect. That's more interesting. I wouldn't mind having this guy in my inventory either. I like how the trigger is receiving of the negative effect rather than once in a while. The more negative effects get thrown on my fighter, the more this will trigger. So this does sound really nice. The Totem. Once in a while, the unit gains a shield that blocks any 3 attacks. I don't like that. You could get lucky and dodge something big, but you're just as likely to block 3 little scepter dings that are nothing. There's a lot of low base weapon damage attacks happening in a battle, more than there are special ability attacks. So very likely those 3 blocks will get used in something small. All right, next we have a tank armor, the Unbreakable Plate Mail. When the unit deals critical damage to an enemy, the unit's magic armor is increased by 30% per 10 seconds, up to 2 effects. When the unit receives max number of effects, they restore 30,000 health. In addition, all incoming damage is reduced by 15% for 8 seconds, up to 2 effects. All right, the trigger is crit again. So this makes sense for a Dragonborn or Lego in most squads, but not actually Lego because Lego wears archer armor. For the non-Throne Room 11 people watching, Dragonborn is an archer that usually wears tank armor, and Legionnaire is a tank that usually wears archer armor, always wears archer armor. Now, I'd be curious to see what this does with Rune of Transformation, but I have a feeling that Celestial Baron tank armor, that is the current gold standard for using with Dragonborn, will be a better choice because it will protect the DB better than this one that just filters some damage. All right, last in this chest we have some pistols. I'm not using either of the pistol sets, but an overpowered unique pistol could make those sets more relevant. Let's see. The unit's attacks have a 40% chance of ignoring 30% of the target's armor, standard. Once in a while, the unit's shots begin to deal splash damage for 5 seconds. Also during this time, each enemy shot has a 75% chance to be stunned for 0.5 seconds. That is disappointing. I guess it's in like event level quality item, but it doesn't get me excited at all. Okay, moving on to the last blue chest. First up, we have the giant strength ring. Once in a while, when the unit has less than 20% health left, they deal damage to all enemies equal to 5% of the max health of the targets. The unit also restores health equal to the damage dealt by the ability. That could be nice. Nice survivability ring there. I like that. The Passion for Knowledge Amulet. Once in a while, the unit restores 70,000 plus spell power bonus health and removes a random negative effect from the amulet wearer. Yeah, that sounds good too. Obviously for a mage, if it has a spell power bonus, love removing negative effects. And this Deer Totem. Once in a while, the unit's damage is increased by 50% for 5 seconds. Also during this time, the incoming damage is reduced by 25%. That sounds familiar. Have we seen this totem before? Anyway, I would definitely use that if I had it. Stacking different damage increases onto Dragonborn is really what the game is all about in the current meta. Okay, we have an archer armor, the Desperado gear. When dealing damage with an attack, the unit has a 60% chance to gain a shield that absorbs 75% damage for 1 second. The event triggers once every 2 seconds or less frequently. So we have a high bar here for archer armor because we have 2 really good ones in the game already. The Fall Forest and the Angel archer armors are both good and pretty easy to get. But I do like shields right now. Anyone who followed the frenzy around the Immortal Mage bug at the start of the month, basically the free amulet in the monthly Royal Challenge comboed with some other common gear to make a mage that could tank hundreds of millions of damage. I had a video about it that I was editing when they fixed it. Never seen them fix a bug so fast. So anyway, playing with that gave me a new appreciation for shields, so I like the sound of this, but I would have a hard time finding room for it in my squad. And last we have an orb, the Power of Chaos Orb. Once in a while, causes injury to 2 random enemies. Their max health is reduced by 15% for the duration of the injury. The injury can last until the end of the battle. Up to 1 effects. Every 3 seconds, the injured unit has a 75% chance to remove the injury. Otherwise, they are stunned for 1 plus spell power bonus seconds. Okay, so once in a while, 2 enemies lose 15% max health. Then every 3 seconds, it probably goes away, but maybe not, and then they get stunned for 1, maybe 1.5 seconds. 15% of max health on a squad like mine, where everyone has 600,000 to 1 million health, that's 90 to 150,000 health lost, times 2 enemies. How does that compare to like what I use now? So the donkey one is more damage, but my old one ignores armor and reduces healing, and the donkey one is temporarily reducing max health. When the max health is restored, is that health full or empty? If it's full, which would be my guess, but I don't know, then I would rather have just damage over the max health reduction. So yeah, I'm not really interested in this. All right, what does that all work out to? I'm gonna kind of take a minute and put together like which items I liked most and which chest I think I wanna try to buy. Okay, so I'm gonna go for the red chest. There's 3 items in there that I wouldn't mind having, and there's the mage armor that I think I'd really like to try out. So I'm gonna kind of see how this goes. If I get like 2 items I want real quick, I probably might just stop and look at maybe just switching to a different chest. All right, let's see. All right, so let's do this. I have a list of what I want, and now I'm just gonna see if I can get it. All right, so I think what I want to try for first is that mage armor, which is in the red chest. So I'm going to start there. and just kind of see how it goes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, nice gem, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is, I guess hopefully I'm just really unlucky because that's terrible that I haven't gotten anything after 12. 13, 14, 15. Okay, here's my first unique item, and it is one that I didn't want at all, the mace. All right, let's see how it goes from here. I think this is 15. I may have lost track when I opened the first unique item. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, I got my second unique item, 10 chests after the first unique item, and I got the amulet. And this again was, well, it was the second item in this chest that I really didn't care about. So the first 2 items I'm getting are the 2 that I wanted the least. So I don't know if the drop order is going to be the same for most people or if it's going to be random. I'm going to say it's probably at least a little random. But, well, since I got the 2 things I don't want out of the way, I guess I might as well, keep going. So this was 24, I believe. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. So 20 chests between items number 2 and number 3. Okay. But this ring is one thing that I did like. While the unit's damage is increased. So, but the slots are of course terrible. If I'm increasing damage by 1%, I want to have lots of damage. But I would be putting this on someone who has a lot of damage to begin with. So it's not the end of the world, though it is disappointing. All right, so this is 44, and I have 2 unique items left. One of them is the armor that I was looking for, and the other is the totem, which also sounded nice. So let's keep going. 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. I believe that's the totem. Yeah. Okay, so last will be the item that I was here searching for. This is 56. That's 12 chests. It's the last one for the totem. Okay. That's 57, but real quick, I just want to make sure I wasn't stupid and missed that I got it already. Okay, yeah. I was pretty sure I didn't just get it and miss it, but I didn't want to open up 10 more chests looking for it when I gotten it and not noticed it, especially during that string of 20 chests that I opened. Okay, let's see, I think I lost track of where I was. So I'm just going to start from 2 here because I know we already opened up 1 looking for the armor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that was my fastest one. I mean, fastest, but also slowest since it's last. And I got tons of hearts, so that's great. Okay, although, I mean, this is one situation where you do want spell power, I think. But anyway, I'm really happy about that. So let's see, I averaged, this one was the lowest at 9 chests to get this one item. Most were around 10 or 12, and one of them was 20 chests to get a unique item. So yeah, not a great drop rate. You gotta be knowing what you're getting yourself into to go for this. Yeah, I'm not gonna do any more right now because that was a lot of diamonds. All right, I need a drink. All right, I am back with the drink, and before I close up this video, I promised earlier to kind of just go over the standard stuff that is always nice to grab from the donkey. You know, people kind of show all this dreading about the donkey because you know it's a bad deal, but it's always really tempting. But there is stuff here that's just always worth getting. All right, so if you're gonna buy diamonds, here they are on sale, and these ones for resources are always worth it. Always wanna grab these. You know, the only other thing we really use wood for is totems, and there's nothing to use iron for once you've done construction. And if you're still doing construction, I would still grab these diamonds because, you know, you may be in like that rush of construction, excited to do construction now, but before you know it, you'll just have no more construction to do. So grab diamonds, they're more useful. And actually for gold, I'm gonna grab them too, since we're in the middle of this gold heavy event. But that one I think is more depending on what's more important to you, gold or diamonds. Now stuff for diamonds, I'm not going to get any of this. There were times when some of it I may have gotten, but nowadays they do so many unique items for diamonds, I'm saving my diamonds for the unique items. Okay, now, ooh, this I might actually get. This is new. These particle of light, oh, that's just particles of light. I thought it was the multiplier here. I do actually normally buy these for diamonds in the Dark Cathedral store, and here they're half off. So I will probably buy some of those. Let's see, they are 5 of them. It says it's 50% off, but I'm gonna double check it. So it's 5 of them for 300 diamonds. What are they normally? Yeah, I just don't trust them. Yeah, so they're normally 20 for 2,000 diamonds. So yeah, that is yeah, that is a good deal. I'm gonna grab some of those. That's new. Now I have a lot more diamonds than most people have, and I have more diamonds to burn. So yeah, you don't have to spend diamonds as freely as I do, and I wouldn't really recommend doing it. One thing, this chest, you have the chance of getting an essence. So if you don't need your mana for other things, you know, I would grab this. You have a good chance of getting a chest. I normally buy this chest, and I don't always get an essence, but I do sometimes. In the past, I have bought these big mithril chests for 600. If you're doing a lot of crafting, it can be really nice to have that big chest, but you know, when I was in that stage, that was before we even had the donkey, and certainly before we had all these crazy like cashbacks and extra donkey chests. So so I would probably save your diamonds for unique items over something like this. Again, these I would not buy. The only time I might is if you're working on something like an eclipse, where you can only make 1 essence every week and you're just so desperate to speed it up, you can buy some of these and speed it up by 1 week for each essence you buy. Or like same thing, I guess the Reaver also. That's another, any of the camel sets. This stuff I would not get. The pets, this is the only place to buy some of these weird pets. So if you would like, you know, a little reindeer running around your house, your castle, this is the place to do it. As you can tell, you know, I just have the pets that you get like from gifts, but I mean, that is cute. I wouldn't mind having that. But unfortunately, the only way to get it is to buy it myself for $10, and I'm really cheap. Skins, I don't think this is worth it, but if you really want one of these, this is, you know, where you would get it. Tombs, I get tombs from the gem-based store, and that's just been more than enough tombs for me. So I again would recommend saving your diamonds for unique items. Spirits are tempting because there's not a lot of places you can get them, but it's a lot of diamonds, so up to you. Totems, I wouldn't get totems. There's more than enough totems to buy in the arena store. You know, and also probably you want to save room in your squad for these new unique totems that drop every now and then. Elixirs, you know, yeah, just fight in the lighthouse, you'll get those. This stuff is all going to be regular gear. None of this is worth getting. They're like the tiny chance that you're going to get like an increased health soul or a red soul. Sorry, this is arena stuff. So these are arena ones. These are arena ones here on this side, and these are regular ones on this side. So what does that mean? There are abilities that are only for the arena store, and there's abilities, then those are like arena abilities, and there's abilities that are only for like regular things you get in chests or you're crafting yourself in the crafting room. So like stasis soul for a mage is an arena ability, but increased health for a tank, that is a regular ability. And res is actually a regular ability. So no matter how many times you refresh the arena store, you will never see a mage res soul show up there. And no matter how many souls you craft, you're never going to get a stasis soul because that has to be bought in the arena store. But these things are kind of useless because it's completely random. So there's a lot of different arena abilities and a lot of regular abilities, and you do not know which one you're going to get. So yeah, do not recommend any of these. This one, however, for wood, yeah, sure, get it. It's just going to be a shard. Yeah, I don't need that. I'm going to break it, but hey, it's an orange shard for wood. It's a good trade for me. Same thing over here for iron. Yeah, I definitely don't need my iron, even less than I need my wood. So I'll buy these and turn them into shards, and then I can turn those shards into dust, and that's how that works. Gems for diamonds, don't do it. You know, you don't, gems are icing on the cake. You don't need to rush that at all. Gems for iron though, or even for mana, yeah. I would get these. I would get both of those. All right, and here we have some badges for diamonds. I mean, that might be tempting if you're doing if you're having a really hard time in arena and you're also missing important arena souls, but I would try to power through it and get it on your own. Okay, here you can buy apples for gold if you really want apples and you don't need your gold too much. But gold is pretty useful right now, like not just for gems, but also for merging manuscripts. And this is a small chest. You see, it's just 450. It's like half the size of most food chests. So I would probably not get it, but if you really, I think that's a little better. But for diamonds, and again, I'd save diamonds for unique items. So yeah, I wouldn't get those anymore. I probably used to. I would have gotten them. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, you're gonna grab like everything you can for iron or wood or mana, and some of the things that you can get for gold. But most of the stuff for diamonds is just not worth it. Nowadays, I think you really want to save your diamonds for frustrating things like that chest I just opened before. You know, and everything else you can just play and you'll get it eventually. It is a game, the whole point is to play. All right, so I think that's all I can cover about the donkey. Remember, I give away 5 sets of 250 diamonds sponsored by the official Hustle Castle community every week. I do that every week, even if I don't make a new video, because I'm still, working on other content. Sometimes I'm focused more on the website. So even if I don't make a new video, leave a comment on any of my old videos. I still see them as new comments in the YouTube studio dashboard. So leave a comment on any of my videos with your game ID and you can enter my weekly diamond giveaway. On the weeks that I don't make new content, there are not many entries. So you have, even better chances if you enter when I don't make new content. All right, so that is all I have to say. I'm going to say goodbye, but look at how long this video is. If after I finish this glass of wine, I decide to go for another chest, I will hit record while I do that, but I just kind of want to close up this video for now. We'll see how the night goes, if I end up buying more or not. All right, so I will see you all in game or in the next couple minutes, depending on what I decide after this glass of wine.